empires and the nation states. One, Ottoman and a Habsburg Empire. So, last class we discussed how nation states uh, originated, or how Germany and Italy, they, and after that political unification, uh, they tried to uh, establish a nation states through, or they tried to bring national unity, uh, and in this process, education, press, modernization played an important role. ଆମର ପ୍ରିଭିୟସ୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଯେ ଜର୍ମାନୀ ଇଟାଲୀ କେମିତି ନେସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଡେଭଲପ୍ ହେଲା, ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଏବଂ ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡ ମଧ୍ୟ କିଭଳି ଭାବେ ନେସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଆସିଲା। ନେସନ୍ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ଏ ଟେରିଟୋରି ଦ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ where also see a group of dominant ଯେଉଁଗୁଡ଼ାକ ଦେଶ ବିରୋଧରେ ଯେଉଁ ଶକ୍ତି ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଥିଲା ତାକୁ କିଭଳି ଭାବେ ଟୁ ବ୍ରିଙ୍ଗ ଦେମ୍ ଟୁ ଦ ମେନ୍ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିମ୍, ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ କିଛି କନସେସନ୍ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ବା ଟୁ ୱିନ୍ ଓଭର ପଲିସି ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ବା ରିଫର୍ମସ୍ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆସୋସିଏଟ୍ କରାହେଉଛି ଫର୍ ଦ କଜ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ୟୁନିଫିକେସନ୍, ଫର୍ ଦ ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେସନ୍, for the integration and to have a nation states. ତେଣୁ ନେସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଏବଂ ମଡର୍ନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଭିତରେ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସେସ୍ ଅଛି। ମଡର୍ନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସରେ there are different nationals, but political unification, ଅଛି, ରାଜନୈତିକ ଏକତା ଅଛି, ଟେରିଟୋରି ଅଛି, ସଭରେନିଟି ଅଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାରର nationals are the peoples they live in a modern state. But nation states are only a particular ethnic group, a dominant group, they dominate they exercise the power, the popular sovereignty. ଯେଭଳିକି ଆମେ ଦେଖୁଛେ ଆବସଲ୍ୟୁଟିଜମ୍ ପିରିୟଡ଼ରେ ରାଜାମାନେ ଶାସନ କରୁଥିଲେ, ତେଣୁ ରାଜାମାନେ ଶାସନ କରୁଥିଲେ, ସୋ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ସଭରେନିଟି ୱାଜ୍ all the exercise, they exercise the unlimited power. But after there is a reaction against monarchical form of government and the establishment of a coming of a popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty, we mean the people should rule should control the authority. The people should control the authority. For example, what propagated by Rousseau's general will. At the will of the people. That should be sovereign. So today we shall discuss about the rise of nation states in Ottoman and a Habsburg Empire. In Europe also we see there were three empires: Ottoman Empire, Habsburg Empire, and another is Russian Empire. So in these जो तीनटी साम्राज्य थिला, Ottoman साम्राज्य, Habsburg और Russian Empire. So there also we see the core identity. The core identity in Ottomans, in Ottoman Empire, Ottoman साम्राज्य core identity होची particularly they are the Turkish, and the form of government means Islamic Caliphate. So अन्य जो नेशनल मान गुडी रहिले सेक्टर मध्य Ottoman Empire, Jews, Christians, so they were also residing, ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ରହୁଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ dominant ଥିଲେ the Turkish. So they tried to impose their culture, their language, their tradition on the non-Muslims. So automatically after modernization, and the movement, the liberal movement that started against the imposition of dominant, the culture of the dominant group. And also in Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Empire case रे मतलब देखा जाଉଛି ଯେ जो तार डाउनफॉल है, the decline होची Ottoman Empire रे, the 19th century. So there is the involvement of the involvement of big powers, or the European powers, the interference of European powers, Germany, Russia. So they interfere in the Ottoman Empire. When the Ottoman Empire on the verge of collapse, बिफोर द फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वार ऑल्सो वी सी सेठा जो राजनीतिक अस्थिरता देखागला ऑटोमन एम्पायर कारण हूँ सेठे the rulers the state had to develop a nationalist feeling and also in both the cases in case of Habsburg and also in case of Ottoman Empire सेठारे a series of nation states बा जेंति इंग्लैंड हेतला मल्टीनेशनल स्टेट से भली मल्टीनेशनल स्टेट ମଧ୍ୟ प्रतिष्ठा होई परला नाही एवं जहा फल कि ऑटोमन एम्पायर रे कोलाप्स हला एवं ता भीतर तापर केतरे राइज ऑफ independent states सेठी डेवलप हला ऑस्ट्रिया हंगरी then also is Greece फर्स्ट विद्रोह देखाला ऑटोमन एम्पायर विरुद्ध बा सेकेंड सर्बिया then also Romania and Bulgaria also these are the nation states that are formed. So in this unit also we see that Habsburg Empire are also the dominant culture or the core or dominant group thile Germans. In case of Russia also is Russia were the most dominant group and they tried to impose their tradition, culture, language, everything on the non-Russians. कहीं ना रशियन एम्पायर क्षेत्र में देखो जे अलेक्जेंडर टू ही स्टार्टेड फर्स्ट रसिफिकेशन रशियन लैंग्वेज कस्टम ट्रेडिशन ये सब तांकर जो कल्चर अन्य नॉन रशियन जो राष्ट्र गुड़िक थिला नेशन गुड़िक थिला ताहा ऊपर एने इंपोज करले एवं दैट वाज बिकेम मोर विगरस ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड ऑफ अलेक्जेंडर 3 किंतु ये जो तीनोटी एम्पायर थिला ऑटोमन एम्पायर हाब्सबर्ग एम्पायर बा रशियन एम्पायर ये सब जो डायनेस्टिक रूल थिला राजवंश जो शासन करथिले से सब राजवंश जो शासन डायनेस्टिक रूल दैट केम टू एन एंड आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वार प्रथम विश्व युद्ध पर ये सब राजवंश परिसमाप्ति घटिला एवं national the people became more nationalist as a result of modernization, as a result of development in transport and communication. So certain nationalism developed लोकमान के and that nation states are possible to establish there. So let us we see that these empires means the Ottoman Empire or Habsburg Empire consisted of a numerous potential nations and all assembled in dynastic empire in early modern times. ये जो राजवंश गुड़िक सब शासन करुले हाब्सबर्ग डायनेस्टी ऑस्ट्रिया शासन करुले and first where the Habsburg the ruled over जोटा कहते कि होली रोमन एम्पायर कहते होली रोमन एम्पायर and the Holy Roman Empire that was destroyed by Napoleon in 1806. Holy Roman Empire means neither holy nor Roman. Only the few German states they accepted or they are called electors and जो माने ये हाब्सबर्ग डायनेस्टी जो माने शासन करते हैं उनको द होली रोमन एम्पायर भावे बाछुଥିଲେ जर्मन स्टेट्स गुड़ा ସେମାନେ କହୁଥିଲେ ଇଲେକ୍ଟର୍ସ ତେଣୁ ଏ ଯେ ହାବ୍ସବର୍ଗ ଯେଉଁ ଏରିଆରେ ଶାସନ କରୁଥିଲେ ଯେଉଁ ହୋଲି ରୋମାନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର କୁହାଯାଉଥିଲା ତେଣୁ ନାଇଦର ସେଟା ହୋଲି ତାଙ୍କର ରୋମାନ ସହିତ କୌଣସି ସମ୍ପର୍କ ନଥିଲା ନାଇଦର ହୋଲି ନର ଦେୟାର ରୋମାନ୍ସ ବଟ୍ ଅଲସୋ वी सी दैट देयर आर डिफरेंट नेशंस and their survival depended on the restricting national movements and even as they modernized their state and society. ये जो एम्पायर गुड़ी का शासन करते जो राजवंश गुटे शासन करते सो हाउ दे रूल्ड ओवर दिस टेरिटरी देयर आर डिफरेंट नेशंस विभिन्न लैंग्वेज मल्टीलिंगुअल मल्टीरेशियल एंड आल्सो पीपल बिलोंगिंग टू डिफरेंट रिलीजन ये सब एम्पायर मध्य थिला जोटा कि तंगर भितर एकता सृष्टि हबारे गोटे नेशन स्टेट सृष्टि हबारे बाधा सृष्टि करथिला बा नेशनलिज्म ଡେଭଲପ ହେବାରେ ବାଧା ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରୁଥିଲେ। ସର୍ବିଆରେ ସର୍ବ୍ସ ମାନେ ରହିଲେ, ଯେତେବେଳେ Ottoman Empire collapse ହେବ, so first world ପୂର୍ବରୁ Balkan ଏରିଆରେ, so the Balkan issue was one of the most complicated issue. So Balkan ଏରିଆରେ Slavs, Croats, then Muslims ମାନେ ଥିଲେ, Christian, so all multilingual, multiracial states that existed, and the European powers, they also wanted to take advantage of this. ତେଣୁ ଏଥିରୁ ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ମାନେ ନିଜର ସାମ୍ରାଜ୍ୟକୁ ବା ବୃଦ୍ଧି କରିବା ପାଇଁ ହାବସବର୍ଗ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର, ରଷିଆନ୍ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ସେମାନେ ଏକ୍ସପାନ୍ସନ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ। ଏବଂ ରଷିଆ ଯେମିତି ସର୍ବିଆରେ ବା ସ୍ଲାଭମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏନକରେଜ କରୁଥିଲା ଟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଏ ଗ୍ରେଟର ସର୍ବିଆ। ସୋ ପାନ୍ ସ୍ଲାଭ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲା। Germany also supported Austria-Hungary, and also pan German state establish କରିବା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଥିଲେ। ସୋ these are the ଯେଉଁ ଅସ୍ଥିରତା ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ତାର ମୂଳ କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସେସ୍ ଥିଲେ, ଦେୟାର ଆର୍ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ୍ସ। ସୋ ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ୍ସ ମାନେ ଥିଲେ ବା ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲା, ସୋ ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ ୱାଜ୍ ଦ ବେସିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ପାୱାର। ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଥିଲେ ଏମାନେ କ'ଣ କରୁଥିଲେ, ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଶକ୍ତି ଥିଲା କେମିତି ସେମାନେ ଏ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସେସ୍ ଭିତରେ ଶାସନ କରୁଥିଲେ। ସୋ ଦେ ୟୁଜ୍ଡ ଦେୟାର ମିଲିଟାରୀ ପାୱାର, ସାମରିକ ଶକ୍ତିର ସାହାଯ୍ୟରେ, and also with the help of bureaucrats, ତାଙ୍କର ଯେଉଁ ରୟାଲ ଅଫିସର୍ସ ମାନେ ଥିଲେ, bureaucrats ଥିଲେ, ସେମାନଙ୍କ ସାହାଯ୍ୟରେ, and these bureaucrats they are only the carrier of the order, ସେମାନେ କେବଳ ଅର୍ଡର କ୍ୟାରି କରୁଥିଲେ। Besides that also through praise they glorified their achievements, and also forced people to oblige to force the people to be loyal to the state. So but with advance ଯେତେ ସମୟ ସହିତ ସମୟ ଯେତେ ଆଗକୁ ବଢ଼ି ଚାଲିଥାଏ, ସେତେ ସେ ସମୟରେ ଏଇସବୁ ଅମ୍ପାୟାର ମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ନେସନ୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ, ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଫାଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା। So but modernity brought nationalism with it almost automatically in region after region। ଯେଭଳି କି କହିଲି, there was a dictum between rural area and urban area. The last class we discussed how French French bank multiplication ଯେତେବେଳେ ହେଉଛି ବା ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ସେମାନେ ଯେଉଁ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା କଲେ, ଯେଉଁଟାକି ମିଟିଂ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା ଟ୍ରେଡର୍ସ, ବିଜନେସ୍ ମାନଙ୍କର, and also we see that coming up railways, steamship, that also help in the growth of nationalism. Education, through education they emphasized on the introduction of a national language କୁ ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ emphasis ଦେଲେ, ଯାହାଫଳରେ କି nationalism develop ହେଲା। So but modernity brought nationalism with it almost automatically in region after region. Inevitably these national movements sought international support, and the great powers encouraged nationalisms as well and suited them to international diplomacy। ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଅଟୋମାନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଶିକାର ହେଲେ, ବା ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଥିଲା ସେଠି ମଧ୍ୟ ଶିକାର ହେଲେ, ଯେଉଁ ରାଜନୀତିର ଶିକାର ହେଲେ। ଦେ ଏନକରେଜ ଏ ୱାର୍ ଦେୟାର ଇନ୍ ଅର୍ଡର ଟୁ ଗେନ୍ ଟୁ ଫିଶ୍ ଇନ୍ ଟ୍ରବଲ୍ ୱାଟର। ତେଣୁ କିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ସେ ଗୁଳିଆ ପାଣିରୁ ଫାଇଦା ଉଠାଇବା ପାଇଁକି ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏଠି ଅସ୍ଥିରତା ସୃଷ୍ଟି କଲେ। So and that could not so that created obstacle for the establishment of a series of nation states. In such circumstances the nation states seemed a radical modern system which is a contrast to polyglot imperial। polyglot means ଯେଉଁଟାକି ଆମେ କହୁଛେ multilingual or multinational state। ତେଣୁ ଏହି କାରଣ ଯୋଗୁଁ the modern state system that was the modern state system a radical nation state seemed a radical modern system in contrast to polyglot means a multilingual imperial structure that insisted on retaining their diverse regional communities within one overarching structure, old structures, and which were now perceived as archaic, old. As it happened, so these three dynastic empires contain within themselves the more backward parts of Europe, and virtually each military defeat led one or more round of disintegration, culminating in the final disasters of First World War. ତେଣୁ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ୱାର୍ଲଡ ୱାର ପୂର୍ବରୁ ବା ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ୱାର୍ଲଡ ପରେ ଏସବୁ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ପରିସମାପ୍ତି ଘଟିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ତା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯେଉଁ ନେସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ବା ମଡର୍ଣ୍ଣ system, radical modern system, the state in which a ethnically dominant group form the nations. সেটা ହେଇପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ ଏ ଜାଗା ମାନଙ୍କରେ because the the empire, the imperial structure ସେଠି multilingual, the people are multilingual. ତାକୁ ତା ବ୍ୟତୀତ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯେ they formed the backward parts of Europe, and they suffered military defeat. Powerful. The international power interfere युद्ध, they are involved in war, and Habsburg Empire, they fought against the Russians, and also the Habsburg dynasty. So in this defeat, in case of Russia suffered a lot of reverses, is severely defeated in Russo-Japanese War in 1904 and 1904 Russia was defeated by Japan. Again, also in First World War, Germany severely defeated Russia under a treaty of Brest-Litovsk was signed, and Russian जो बोल्शेविक गवर्नमेंट से ଥିଲେ ସେମାନେ ଯୁଦ୍ଧରୁ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଯୁଦ୍ଧରୁ ଓହରି ଗଲେ ଏବଂ ଜର୍ମାନୀ ସହିତ ହ୍ୟୁମିଲେଟିଂ ଟ୍ରିଟି ସେମାନେ ସ୍ୱାକ୍ଷର କଲେ. So only Russia was defeated in the Crimea War. ଯଦିଓ ରଷିଆ ଆମେ ଦେଖୁଛେ କ୍ରିମିଆ ୱାର ପରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ରଷିଆ ଆଉ ସେମିତି ବହୁତ କିଛି ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ୱାର ହାରିନଥିଲା. ରୁଷୋ ଜାପାନିଜ ୱାର ଯାହା ହେଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ରଷିଆରେ ଯେମିତି ହାବସବର୍ଗ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଏବଂ ଅଟୋମାନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ମାନେ ଡିସଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେଟ୍ ହେଇଗଲା. ରଷିଆନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଡିସଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେଟେଡ୍ ଏତେ ବିଲୟ ହେଲାନି. ତାର ଯେଉଁ ନେସନ୍ସ ମାନେ ଥିଲେ ତାର କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ରଷିଆ ସବୁବେଳେ ଭିକ୍ଟୋରିୟସ୍ ଆଲି ମାନଙ୍କର ସପକ୍ଷରେ ଥିଲା. ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଜିତୁଥିଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ସପକ୍ଷରେ ବା ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପଟରେ ହିଁ ରହିଥିଲା. So that's why it was saved. So let us we shall discuss about nationalism and empires. So a multinational, so as you know, so many nation states that emerged in Europe after 1909, after First World War, they have remained backward, whereas because First World War पर ये जो 3 dynasty थिला, dynasty rule, that Romanov dynasty in Russia, Habsburg dynasty that ruled over Austria, and the Ottoman Turks. ଏମାନଙ୍କର ଯେଉଁ ରାଜବଂଶ ସବୁ ଏସବୁ ପତନ ଘଟିଲା ଏବଂ many nation states, and in many nation states that emerged in Europe after 1919. तो राष्ट्र राज्य 1919 ପରେ ପ୍ୟାରିସ ପିସ୍ କନଫରେନ୍ସ ପରେ ଏସବୁ ଆବିର୍ଭାବ ହେଲା. Whereas a new multi-nation states of a Soviet Union that replaced the archaic Russian Empire ceased to be backward, defeated Germany in the World War II. ସକ୍ଷମ ହେଲା ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ ବିଶ୍ୱଯୁଦ୍ଧରେ to defeat Germany and became one of the superpowers. କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ରଷିଆ ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ହେବାର ମୂଳ କାରଣ ଏଠି ହେଲା ଯେ the new multinational state of Soviet Union. Soviet Unionରେ ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଯେଭଳି ଭାବରେ ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡରେ ଥିଲେ, ୟୁକେରେ ମଲ୍ଟିନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ, ସେଭଳି ଭାବରେ ରଷିଆର ମଧ୍ୟ ମଲ୍ଟିନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ମାନେ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ଏବଂ ଯାହାକି ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ହେଲା ଏବଂ uh, Soviet Union became more powerful after Second World War, and it defeated Russia. A multinational state, Yugoslavia, that appeared in Balkans, and another state, Czechoslovakia, was established in Central Europe. Also, Switzerland completed the transition to the modern world as a multinational federation. So these three empires are old and enfeebled for not being able to harness nationalism. ये जो तीनोटी empire थिला से ସବୁ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ବା ସେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ବିଲଙ୍ଗିଂନେସ୍ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ପ୍ରତି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ବିଲଙ୍ଗିଂନେସ୍ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିବାରେ ହିଁ ବିଫଳ ହେଲେ ଟୁ ଦ କଜ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଇମ୍ପେରିଆଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଇମ୍ପେରିଆଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ପ୍ରତି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଏକ ବିଲଙ୍ଗିଂନେସ୍ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରି ବିଫଳ ହେଲେ and nationalism began developing in these empires in varying degree from the beginning of the 19th century. But the state continued to hold the empire together solely through the dynastic army bureaucracy without common ideology. ସେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ବଞ୍ଚି ରହିଲା ବା ପଲିଟିକାଲ ୟୁନିଟ୍ ରହିଲା କିନ୍ତୁ ସେ ଯେଉଁ ନେସନ୍ସ ବା ରହିଲା ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଯେଉଁ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ନେସନ୍ସ ରହିଲେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଜାତିର ବା ରିଲିଜନର ମଲ୍ଟିଲିଙ୍ଗୁଆଲ ମଲ୍ଟିକଲଚରାଲ ରହିଲା ଲୋକ ମଲ୍ଟିଲିଙ୍ଗୁଆଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ରହିଲା ସେଥିରେ ଦ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଫେଲ୍ଡ ଟୁ ଡେଭଲପ କମନ୍ ଆଇଡିଓଲୋଜି common religion, common language, or institutions. Theoretically speaking, the empire could be converted into a single nation in the manner of that Great Britain was formed out of England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. But English development possessed a dynamism in which different nations saw advantage in joining the union dominated by England. So, the other theoretical possibility was nationalism being made into foundation for a modern state without necessarily attempting to create a single nation state in West Europe. West Europe କିନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ ଆଉ ଏକ ଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାରର ରାଜନୈତିକ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥା ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ଯେଉଁଟାକି ଆମେ କହୁଛେ କି ମଡର୍ନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ସେଠି in the case of modern state the state control over sovereign the state was a sovereign power and there is a political unity but the state ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲେ ନାହିଁ ଯେ ବା ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ସାର୍ବଭୌମତ୍ୱ କ୍ଷମତା ରହିଲା ଏବଂ ଯେଉଁ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ରହିଲା ତାହା that was based on popular sovereignty and କିନ୍ତୁ the state did not try to create a single nation state ଜାତି ଭିତ୍ତିକ କଲଚରାଲି ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ traits କଲଚରାଲ ୟୁନିଟି ସେ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ଭିତ୍ତିରେ ବା କଲଚରାଲ ୟୁନିଟି ହଉ ବା ଲିଙ୍ଗୁଇଷ୍ଟିକ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ସେମାନେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲେ ନାହିଁ ଏଭଳି ଏକ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ନେସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ କରିବା ପାଇଁ କି ଦ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ୱାଜ୍ based on language that was not based on particular ethnic group or then religion. So they never tried to create such a single nation state. This was the Soviet and Yugoslavia. In Yugoslavia also you see multinational model. Soviet Union also there are different nationals or there are non-Russians that survived till 1991. In 1991, there is a disintegration of Soviet Union. The new Soviet state promoted nationalism vigorously after Bolshevik revolution. They tried aguru Russia nationalism ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦ ବିକାଶ ନ ହେବାର କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ଯେ Alexander first, Alexander II and Alexander III ସେମାନେ ରଷିଆନ୍ କଲଚର ତାଙ୍କ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ଏସବୁ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରୁଥିଲେ ଆଉ ତାଙ୍କ ନନ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ ମାନଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଏବଂ ଦ ନନ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ସ ୱେ ଆର୍ ଟ୍ରିଟେଡ୍ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟଲି ଦୋ the non Russians we are only formed a political they formed only a territory. There is no feelings towards the nation. They have no feelings towards the state. ତେଣୁ ନନ୍ ରସିଆନ୍ ମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ସେଭଳି ଭାବେ କୌଣସି ଫିଲିଙ୍ଗସ୍ ନଥିଲା ବା ଆଟାଚମେଣ୍ଟ ନଥିଲା। ଓନ୍ଲି ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟିଏ କେବଳ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିକାଲ ଟେରିଟୋରୀ ଭିତରେ ରହୁଥିଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ରସିଆନ୍ ଆଫ୍ଟର ରିଭଲ୍ୟୁସନ୍ ଦେ ଟ୍ରାଏଡ୍ ଟୁ ବ୍ରିଙ୍ଗ ଦ ନନ୍ ରସିଆନ୍ସ ଟୁ ଦିସ୍ to associate themselves in this process of integration. नॉन रशियन मानक सामिल करागला विभिन्न administration and all. So they are given some concession. जो फीलिंग ऑफ alienation होतला बा फीलिंग ऑफ सेपरेशन होतला सेटा दूर करने पे vigorously steps are taken. Thus the new state was neither an old fashioned empire integrated by dynasty or bureaucracy alone, nor a nation state possess a single culture. तेणु कर जो नुआ स्टेट फॉर्मेशन होची सेटा केवल गोटे राजवंश गोटे वंशानुक्रमिक शासन व्यवस्था नथिला। सो द डायनेस्टिक रूल नथिला बा ब्यूरोक्रेसी अमलातंत्री मानकर शासन नथिला, nor it was only based on language or culture or religion. Instead, a series of nations were developed. A series of nations or the nations developed the feature of a nation states, except fully sovereignty. ये जो state का जो nation states formation है जो विभिन्न राष्ट्र गुड़िक रहिले से माने dominant nation dominant nation तंग भीतर रहिला रशिया इसो ता अंडर ही एमाने रहिले किंतु एमानकर कोनसी they didn't enjoy full sovereignty. They were then united into a single Soviet supernation. तो supernation तारी सहित मैंने मिशिक रहिले integrated or they united into a single Soviet Union or multinational state as it was usually described, and the common instruments of this supernation were a single and centralized communist party. So the nations existed independently, but they are controlled by the central party. They are controlled by the communist party. They are controlled by communist ideology, planning and armed forces. Now, communist ideology, आदर्श, तंगर शासन, communist party, तंगर planning, armed force, bureaucracy, Soviet culture. So that is dominated. The Soviet system thus not merely endorsed, but even mobilized nationalism, but not through the nation states, not through giving particular language or culture. The nearest analogy to this process of Indian Union in India also you see that which reorganized in 1956 into linguistic states. In Indian Union also the new states that are formed in Indian Union that were the linguistic states. That means the states are given to fulfill their, they are free to fulfill their aspirations, and also they have to live with their what we say, each with its own subnationalist and regional aspirations. The three empires were however not able to conceive of such strategies of multinational unification. ସେମାନେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରି ପାରିଲେ ନାହିଁ, ପରିକଳ୍ପନା କରିପାରିଲେ ଯେ ଏଭଳି ମଲ୍ଟିନେସନାଲ ୟୁନିଟି କଥା। Consequently, imperial policies are most often reactive. confrontation ବଦଳରେ ତ compromise हे କରିଥାନ୍ତେ ତ ତାହେଲେ ଏଭଳି ଭାବେ ମଲ୍ଟିନେସନାଲ ୟୁନିଟି नेशन फॉर्मेशन हो पारिथंता फॉलो किंतु से एम्पायर मान गुड़िक ऑटोमन एम्पायर हो हाब्सबर्ग दे ट्राइड टू सप्रेस नेशनलिज्म एज आउटकम ऑफ जेतले यूरोपियन लिबरलिज्म बढ़ुची बा मॉडर्नाइजेशन आसिला एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ रेनेसां एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ रिफॉर्मेशन इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ई सब आधुनिकरण होची शहरीकरण होची शिल्पायन आसला लोकमान भितर शिक्षा वृद्धि है गमनागमन व्यवस्था परिवर्तन आसूची सो दीज आर द इंटीग्रेटिंग प्रोसेस सो विभिन्न वर्गर लोक सब ଜାତି ବର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଧର୍ମର ଲୋକ ସବୁ ଏକତ୍ରିତ କରିବାରେ ସହାୟକ ହେଲା। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏ ସମୟରେ ଦ ନେସନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଦେ continued their existence ଏସବୁ assimilate କରିଥିଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଷ୍ଟ ଫିଲିଙ୍ଗ ଅଫ୍ ୱାନନେସ୍ ଡେଭଲପ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା ତାହେଲେ ନେସନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଫର୍ମେସନ୍ ହେଇପାରିଥାନ୍ତା ବା ମଲ୍ଟି ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ରହିପାରିଥାନ୍ତେ ୱିଥ୍ ଦିଆର ସ୍ପେଶାଲ ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଟି जो डोमिनेंट नेशन रहा बा डोमिनेंट ग्रुप रहा ता भीतर मध्य एमन सब रही पारि थांते किंतु नेशन स्टेट्स बा जो एम्पायर सम द डायनेस्टिक रूल दे सप्रेस द नेशनलिज्म इन क्वेश्चन opportunistically promoting one nationalism against the another within the same region of a fixed nationality, then sponsoring nationalism in a neighboring empire as a part of a great power diplomacy. For example, the Ottoman Empire ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ପାଲ୍ମ in Balkan case ଏଠି ପାମ୍ସା ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ରଷିଆ ସର୍ବମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏନକରେଜ କଲେ ଗ୍ରେଟର ସର୍ବ ପାଇଁ ଅଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଆ ହାଙ୍ଗେରୀ ସେ ଜର୍ମାନ ଦେ ଅଲସୋ ଏନକରେଜ ଅଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଆ ଜର୍ମାନ ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରେଟର ଜର୍ମାନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ପାଇଁ ସେଥିରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏନକରେଜ କରାହେଉଛି ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ସର୍ବମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ଡେଭଲପ କରିବା ଏବଂ ଏ ଯେଉଁ ଅଲଗା ଯେଉଁ ସବୁ ଏଥନିକ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ମାନେ ଥିଲେ on the basis of their ancestry, on the basis of their tradition, seମାନଙ୍କୁ encourage କରାହଉଛି to get united and against the empire. So that is the most that could not help for the growth of a multinational states. The failure of these three empires may be treated to an important degree and a failure of a nationalistic strategy. As a result, the failure of these three empires may be treated to an important degree as a failures of nationalist strategy. So ये सब ऊर्ध्व को जाए जदि ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ nationalist feelings loyal to the state develop ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା or the କାହିଁକିନା modern state possessed a single culture or territory. Modern nation state possessed single culture or territory, cultural territory, କିନ୍ତୁ that was not created as a because growing nationalism that was the suppressed ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଯେଉଁ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା ବା ମଡର୍ଣ୍ଣାଇଜେସନ ଫଳରେ ଯେଉଁ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମଟା ସେଟା ଡେଭଲପ ହେଇପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ and then also see the failure of these three empires may be treated to an important degree of failures of a nationalist strategy. जो differences थिला जो different cultural background linguistic nationalism हे परला नहीं ethnic nationalism हे परला नहीं so and as a result of First World War First World War also may be seen as an important degree as a triumph of nationalism in Europe, including even in Soviet Union, which combined nationalism with a liberal or fascist ideology. Extreme nationalism also one of the cause of First World War. Or the European countries, for example, in Britain, they consider that they took pride in this, having more and more colonies or to civilize the backward countries in the name of or the extended they went for imperialism or acquire more and more territory outside their country in the name of white man's border. So white man's border it was they thought that it was their responsibility to civilize the people of backward countries in Asia and Africa. So there was however a clear difference between the three empires in their handling of nationalism. The first difference lay in the degree of coherence in the central state. Here, the Russian state stood first, the Habsburg next, and the Ottoman came such a poor third that it was derisively called sick man of Europe. The second differences was corollary to the first, namely the degree of exposure to international sponsorship of a local nationalism. Again, the Russian Empire came out on the top easily with the dominant Russian core, while the Habsburg and Ottoman empires came a very low second, both devoid of an obvious core. So, in case of Ottoman Empire, also we see that uh, uh, after First World War, also we see that revolution or a movement. Before that, also we see in Greece. In case of Greece, also you see first the movement start there against the Ottoman rule. The Greeks were the first to expose the hollowness of a Ottoman multinational empire. Their independent struggle, like others, ସେଠି ଯେ ମୁକ୍ତି ସଂଗ୍ରାମ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଲା ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ଏବଂ the Greek nationalist idea was propagated by the end of 18th century. Uh, and the organization that worked for the independence was the Pehlik Hetaria, Society of Friends set up by the Greek merchants in the Crimea in 1814 under the leadership of Alexander and with the supporters throughout the Ottoman Empire. International publicity came in form of a great European enthusiasm for classical antiquity, where the concrete great power support for the nationalism was provided by Russia. So, in the disintegration of the Ottoman Empire, also you see the great powers they played an important role. They encouraged ये जो ऑटोमन एम्पायर ଭିତରେ the different nationals ମାନେ ଥିଲେ so ତାଙ୍କର ଯାହା the weakness that is the weakness and the way of forging a national government and the European suppose in case of Greece Russia encouraged them in their war for independence or in their independence struggle. As early as 1770, Russia helped in a rising in the Peloponnese, and by the Treaty of Kenarka in 1774, Russia acquired a generalized right to represent Orthodox Christians of the empire of the Sultan. So in this case, in this you see that in case of Ottoman Empire, also we see there's a lack of unity among the different nations, and that cause and as a result of which, because of the different nations that are based on their different their language, their cultural traits are different, and the new nation states that emerged there in Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania as a result of national growth of nationalism. In case of a Habsburg monarchy, also you see that there also the same thing also happened here, and the new states that the nation states that emerged here are multi-nation states that emerged here in Czechoslovakia and also in case of Hungary, and there existed multinational states. From this it is clear that a national or a dynastic state could no longer exist in modern international system. The Habsburg and Ottoman states had hoped to survive by obstructing, suppressing, or ignoring nationalism. ଯଦି ସେମାନେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ଡେଭଲପ୍ କରିବାରେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିଥାନ୍ତେ through education, through language movement, through common language movement, through language, through education, uh, through press, uh, but they ignored, the forces that could have brought nationalism. So, but the nation states did not have to be the result. Although so many nation states had come into being, it could as well have been a multinational state, even if not a national state. Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Soviet Union. If you have there are multinational states. Multinational states, बहुराष्ट्र, multinational state, ବହୁ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ରାଜ୍ୟ ଗଠନ ହେଲା, that came into existence, having different language, different cultural traits, but they accepted that political uh, integration in spite of, or they remained under the dominant nation in order to achieve their growth, political, economic growth. So it is when, in case of Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and the Soviet Union, the modern state could exist only on the basis of the promotion of a nationalism, and this nationalism could be equally a single nationalism appropriate to the national state or a number of the modern state. So gote linguistically gote state he pare, on the basis of your dominant group gote state he pare, kimba a number of nationalisms modern state rahi parle. Nation state modern state the difference hoche nation state gote dominant group ro hi controlled state rahibo, that they form the state or they constitute the state. A dominant ethnic group constitute the state or a single culture and a territory. Nation states definition as a single culture, a single culture and a territory. কিন্তু modern state সেটা ହେଇପାରେ কিংবা a number of nationalisms combined through uh, uh, combined through imaginative federating arrangement into some multinational uh, state. So, federating we mean here, or the federation we mean here. Federation is a संघीय व्यवस्था जो कहते संघीय व्यवस्था है. The federation is a new state or a political system that is formed through a treaty or an agreement between various units. Various units means various nations. Here, the units of a federation are known by various names like states, such as in case of US, or cantons, as in Switzerland, or province, as in Canada, or republics, as in Russia. So, modern state ଏଭଳି ଭାବେ ମଧ୍ୟ ରହିପାରିବ. ଖାଲି ନେସନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଗୋଟେ କଲଚରାଲ ବା ଟେରିଟୋରି ନେଇକି ରହିପାରିବ, କିମ୍ବା ମଡର୍ନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏଭଳି ଇମାଜିନେଟିଭ ଫେଡରେଟିଂ ଆରେଞ୍ଜମେଣ୍ଟ ମଧ୍ୟ ରହିପାରିବ into a multinational state. The principle the Ottoman and the Habsburg Empire could have evolved ଏଭଳି କରିପାରିଥାନ୍ତେ into a such multinational entity like the Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and the Soviet states. But the two empires were defeated in international wars and were carved up, and happens with almost unfailing regularity throughout the history. In this case, the victors ଯୋଉମାନେ ଜିତିଲେ ସେମାନେ ହାରିଯିବା ବା ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଯୁଦ୍ଧରେ ହାରିଯିବା ତାଙ୍କର ମୂଳ କାରଣ ହେଲା ଯେ ସେଠାରେ ଏ ସିରିଜ ଅଫ ନେସନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ବା ମଲ୍ଟିନେସନାଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଫର୍ମେସନ ହେଇପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ. କାହିଁକିନା ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଜିତିଲେ ଦ ଭିକ୍ଟର୍ସ ଦେ ୟୁଜ୍ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ as the principle by which to slice up the ସେ ଯେଉଁ ଆମ ଭାରତ ଲୋକମାନେ ସେଠାରେ ଭିକ୍ଟର୍ସ ମାନେ ଡେଭଲପ୍ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ଯେଉଁ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ କଲଚରର ଲୋକମାନେ ରହୁଥିଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ତାଙ୍କର କଲଚରକୁ ନେଇକି ତାଙ୍କ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ଡେଭଲପ୍ କଲେ ଭାଗ ଭାଗ କରିବାକୁ ସେ ଏମ୍ପାୟାରକୁ ଭାଗ ଭାଗ କରିବାକୁ ଖଣ୍ଡ ଖଣ୍ଡ କରିବାକୁ ଟୁ ସ୍ଲାଇସ୍ ଦେମ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଆଜ୍ ଇଟ୍ ୱାଜ୍ ଅଲମୋଷ୍ଟ ରେଡିଲି ଆଭେଲେବୁଲ୍ ଯେହେତୁ ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଗୁଡ଼ାକରେ ବଡ଼ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ୍ ଥିଲା ଯେ ଏ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଗୁଡ଼ାକ ଥିଲା ମଲ୍ଟି ଲିଙ୍ଗୁଆଲ ମଲ୍ଟି ରାସିଆଲ ମଲ୍ଟିଲିଙ୍ଗୁଆଲ ମଲ୍ଟିରେସିଆଲ ମଲ୍ଟି ରିଲିଜିୟସ୍ ଏଇ ଗୁଡ଼ାକର ତାଙ୍କର ମେନ୍ ଡ୍ରବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଏବଂ ତାର ଫାଇଦା ଉଠେଇଲେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଭିକ୍ଟର୍ସ ମାନେ ଅନ୍ ଦ ବେସିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଦେ ଟ୍ରାଏ ଟୁ divide the empire. Yet, yet they were not consistent. AP did not suit them as to demonstrate. So, the disintegration of the two empires was due to both nationalism and a military defeat. Nationalism developed এবং সামরিক ক্ষেত্রে সমান দুর্বল এবং হারিলে So, let us we shall discuss about another that is rise of nation states in Russia or Russian Empire or the Soviet Union, and the Russian Empire faced all the hazards of multinational composition. Russian Empire बहुत बड़े विशाल था. The vastness of the empire was the root cause of its problem. The vastness of the Russian Empire. So जो विशाल साम्राज्य थिला साम्राज्य थिला ସେଥିରେ ବହୁ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡ଼ିଏ ନେସନ୍ସ ଥିଲା. There were a number of nations. Nations means multilingual ହେଲା ବା ଆମେ ଡିଭାଇଡ୍ କରିବା ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା ରଷିଆ ଯେଉଁଟାକି ଡୋମିନେଟ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଥିଲା ଅନ୍ୟथा ଥିଲା ନନ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ସ. ସୋ ସେ ନନ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏଥିରେ ଆସିମିଲେଟ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର ନିଜର ଯେଉଁ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜଟାକୁ ବା କଲଚରକୁ ସେଠି ନନ୍ ରଷିଆନ୍ ମାନଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ୍ କରାଉଥିଲେ ରସିଫିକେସନ୍ ତାକୁ କୁହାଯାଉଥିଲା ରସିଫିକେସନ୍. First, Russia stayed modernized force effectively and did not lose many wars until the great disasters. प्रथम विश्वयुद्ध पर्यंत फास्ट देखले जे रूस जापानी वार हारथिले क्रीमिया वार मध्ये हारथिले एबले मेजर किछि वार को छाडी देला परे किंतु बाकी मध्ये it won a number of wars. Otherwise it छाडी देला परे otherwise Russia maintained a high rate of victory against Napoleon in 1812 and 1814 and 15, in Hungarian Revolution in 1848 and the Ottoman Empire in 1812 and 1829 and 1877 and 1878. যেভাবে কি in case of Habsburg and Ottoman Empire, so they suffered defeat. Their military debacle caused disintegration of the empire. Here also केवल क्रीमिया एवं रूस जापानीज वार छाड़देले रशिया ये सब क्षेत्र में जीतला एवं तार विक्ट्री रेट अधिक थिला. All accompanied by innumerable diplomatic success. Russia also conquered Caucasus in the first half of the 19th century, Central Asia from 1820s to 1880s, in the eastern seaboard of Siberia, North and Ussuri rivers. So, the Russian Empire could not be so easily defeated in international conflict as much as the Habsburg and Ottoman Empire could be. Secondly, unlike others, the core nationality in Russian Empire, the Russians, was far larger than that of the others. So, Russian demographic superiority was above, and with the Slavs, their supremacy was overwhelming. But again, also we see that Russification and the police. Let us we shall discuss something about what is the Russification and cultural policing, how they impose their own culture, traditions, and among the other territories under the non-Russians. So, there are. Let us see how Russia reintegrated these territories, particularly, and what are the factors responsible for reintegrating of the Northern Asian territories. So there are certain elements ଯାହାଫଳରେ କି ଅଟୋମାନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଏବଂ ହାବସବର୍ଗ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଯେଉଁ ଦୁର୍ଦ୍ଦଶା ହେଲା, ରସିଆନ୍ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ସେଇ ଦୁର୍ଦ୍ଦଶା ହେଲା ନାହିଁ। ତାର କାରଣ ଟିକେ ଲେଟ୍ ଅସ୍ ଡିସ୍କସ୍। ପ୍ରଥମ କଥା, ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଥିଙ୍ଗ ଇଜ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ a national territory was identified on the basis of language, history, and culture, and it was made into constituent republic of a Soviet Union. In pre-revolutionary times, there were no national territory. 1970 pre-revolutionary time, only a number of administrative provinces. केवल जेमती in case of India also, there are administrative provinces. The state concept are also the differences was akin to the colonial administrative divisions in India. In this way, among शासन करते लोग Britishers, there are provinces, and किंतु national, there is no national territory. Only a number of administrative provinces. शासन व्यवस्था दृष्टि the state was divided into a number of provinces for administration, but no national territory. So, second thing, that the language of the republic was then made the official language for local use, and Russian became the language for communication with the rest of the Soviet Union. So that helped. Universal literacy campaigns were conducted, and a great energy was such that more numbers of nationality now knew how to read, write, and speak a single standardized version of their language. आगुर मुझे कहते जे एजुकेशन प्लेज वेरी इंपोर्टेंट रोल, और ये एजुकेशन माध्यम से लैंग्वेज इंट्रोड्यूस करते that help the people to get united. So education माध्यम रे ही ऐसे लैंग्वेज से दिया जाए, dominate the national language टाको स्थानित करते. The full apparatus of education from primary to post-secondary was established so that members of the nationality could aspire to ever higher levels of scholarship and a culture within their own cultural space. Another element of reintegrating of Soviet Union was that all the national cultural institutions were created, that is museums, theaters, publishing houses, radio, anymore newspaper. So here press also played an important force in reintegrating the nations, like education. As much as possible, people of the local nationality were given preference to local employment. This process was known as inativization or Koreanization. So all these put together were major achievements for nationalists. But the essential conditions they had to observe in the 20s are the following. First, all citizens had to accept loyalty. जोटा कि मूल 20s शताब्दी जोटा जो फैक्टर्स प्रारंभ कला रीइंटीग्रेट पे सेटा हला जे all citizens had to accept loyalty to the Soviet states. Soviet राष्ट्रपति सेमानकर loyalty रहिबो, अनुगत्य रहिबो, and accept dictatorship of the Communist Party, including its anti-religious militancy. Security sensitive jobs were controlled by Russians. सुरक्षा व्यवस्था जो नौकरी जॉब थिला से रशियंस मैन कंट्रोल कले. Intelligence and also defense service. There would always be some Russians near top level of the leadership in the republic. So in this you see that the nationalists thus got far more than they could hope for the empire and more than the counter-revolutionary regions. So ଅଟୋମାନ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଏବଂ ହାବସବର୍ଗ ଏମ୍ପାୟାର ଯେଭଳି ଭାବେ ସେମାନେ ଦେ ଫେଲ୍ଟ ଟୁ ଡେଭଲପ nationalist feelings among the people or among the different nations. Then under the dictatorship of communists they imposed, or also they or through education, through press, so they developed nationalistic feelings. So uh, in Russian, and so the Russian Empire was different from that of the two other empires in terms of more effective modernization. Relatively, Russia suffered. Uh, Russia suffered, or Russia could not lose more wars like that of Habsburg Empire and Ottoman Empire. Then the Russians, in relation, the demographic superiority of the Russians in relation to other nationalities, the supportive role of a Orthodox Church, thereby ensuring religious loyalty of the majority of its subjects, enforce cultural linguistic unification of the minority nationalities, and a leading role of Russian nationalism. Even after the empire broke up under the impact of First World War, the Soviet Union, in a span of 20 years or so, was able to reunite most of the constituent units in a single nation. After the special concessions of 1920s were revoked under Stalin. Now nationalism was to be permitted in the form made notorious by the slogan nationalist in form, socialist in content. All the non-socialist, or rather non-party line thinking of nationalist was denounced. They could promote their culture and pursue their career within their respective republics and regions only if they followed the party line in details. It was a thoroughgoing imposition of a uniformity and centralism that far exceeded the fantasies of Tsarist or imperial bureaucrats and ideologies. What the Tsarist autocracy had expected from Russification, the communist bureaucrats now demanded from Stalinist socialism. Thank you.